Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a watch video for you. Today we are talking about the metal Casio. This one is one that's been around for quite a while. It'd be like the GA2100B. And this is, there are three variations of this. There's the green, which I have here. There's a silver, there's a blue, and I think there may be a red one as well with sort of a gray case like this. Over here, we have the 2100C, which is a bit of a, these are fairly new, bit of a different colorway, and the big thing is a different strap. So I thought I would take a look at both of these at the same time because there's a lot of similarities, but also it would give you the option if you're looking at one of these to kind of know which one you would be most interested in. The other thing I have to say here is there are a bunch of variations of the metal now. I think between this series and this series, there are like three or four in this series, and there are three in this series, so that's already up to seven. Then there are at least three of these metal Casioaks with actual metal bracelets. They're pretty expensive, like $800. And then of course there are dozens of the resin Casioaks out there, which I'm not even going to try to get into because there's just so many. As I've mentioned before on different watch videos, I love the analog display, and I really like when an analog display is sort of combined with some other cool features. And these really meet that criteria for me because you notice you've got an analog face there, but you've got some digital information, and you've got the toughness and durability of a G-Shock, and then add to that the functionality of a digital watch. So if you quickly, scroll through here, you can see, well, so first of all, you can just read adjust, light, start, and mode. So if you want to switch the mode, you have that option. There we go. Make sure you can see what's going on. There's world time, there's stopwatch, there's a timer, there's some alarms that you can set, and then we're back to the time. So, if you've had a digital watch before, if you've had various Casios that are out there, you're aware of all of those features. And if you have use of that, now I will say a lot of those features are a little less useful than they would have been before the days of cell phones. And the other thing I've got to say is these don't have all the features they could have. Of course, something like arrangement is going to tell you, what time it is, but it's going to tell you what time it is in a bunch of different places. It's going to tell you what direction you're facing, how high up you are, what the weather is doing. So there's a lot of extra features and functionality that you can certainly get, and that and that's pretty compelling. That's the thing that really draws me to the arrangement for sure, and I enjoy having that functionality. So this doesn't quite get to that level. The other cool thing, but the one thing I would like to see, and I hope this happens on more Casios, is I've got my Oceanus here, and the Oceanus has a Bluetooth connection to your phone, which it uses to set the time. And in fact, you can do some other things with that as well. On the Casio Edifice watches, I don't have one, but they're definitely on my short list of watches to pick up. When with the Casio Edifice watches, you can connect to your phone and do a bunch of stuff, have a bunch of extra functionality that I think is pretty interesting. So I would love to see, in a perfect world, I'd like to see the functionality that you get from a G-Shock along with the Bluetooth features of the Edifice and the extra features or the extra data that's available on the Rangeman. And I know some people are like, well, you're kind of describing a Mudmaster, and I don't think there's a Mudmaster with Bluetooth, but I could be wrong about that. Of course, the obvious choice is also a smartwatch, but again, this takes us down a different path that I guess I'll comment on very quickly. With a smartwatch, you really struggle in terms of battery life. Like you just don't have that kind of reliability where you can go, yeah, I'm going to be gone for a week. I'm going to, wear this watch. Well, good luck. Even Garmin's, especially if you're using the GPS feature. I've used the GPS on my Garmin Fenix 6 a bunch, and it is going to eat up that battery. So you still need a way to charge that watch. where something like, a Rangeman or Mudmaster or some of the other Casios with that extra functionality, you're going to get a lot more battery life out of that. All right, so let's come back to these watches in particular. I do love these because they look great. Maybe, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I'm aware of that, but I find these to be for sure the handsomest G-Shocks available. And really, they're pretty, just Casios in general, as I look at them, I find these much more appealing than a lot of the designs in the lineup. Now, your preferences are probably different from mine. Now, the other cool thing here, and this is, initially when I got this watch, the first thing that I thought of was, what about changing out that bracelet or those straps? You can see the way to do that is, you'd have to take these rubber straps off, and they sell sort of conversion tools that you can connect here to allow you to use NATO straps or I mean, just about any strap, as long as, it switches it over to like a 200 millimeter lug width or 20 millimeter lug width, and then you can just do whatever you want, right? So what's happened over here on the C and on this whole series is they've essentially installed the adapters for you. So if you go on Amazon and look around, you can find a kit that looks very much like this. It's got these two black adapters, and it'll have a strap on it, or it won't have a strap on it. It'll just be the adapters. And now that those adapters are on, let me open this up. And I'll show you first at the side. So you can see, by the way, actually, let's move both of these out of the way. So if you take a look here at the side, you can see these are the same. The only difference is these plastic adapters or these resin adapters, which you can buy on Amazon. I'd want to make sure you get the good quality. Like, don't cheap out on that, because you want something that's good quality. Maybe check some reviews. But once those are on, you could do something similar to this with any of the watches in this series. Put on those adapters, and now if we flip this all the way over, you can see that we've got the quick release there, but we've also got the typical spring bar in here. And if you got a little spring bar tool, pop this off and, switch out these straps to anything you want. And it's going to be much easier to do that. So for my money, if I was going to buy one of these anyway, this would be the first one to buy. And that way you immediately have the option to switch out the straps for whatever you want. Now, if you can find one of these, I happen to get this one in trade for a knife, which many of you know. But if you find, you can find one of these, or you get one of these, there is that option to have the ability to switch it out after the fact. Let me very quickly show you what these guys look like on wrist. All right, so there is the GA2100C. Okay, it's the silver with the black face and the more standard digital display. And there we have the 2100B, again with the G-Shock resin straps. And this is something that I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to switch to, but I probably will be switching these straps out and adding a set of these little adapters so that I can put some different straps on this. I do love that green face, and I really like the negative display, even though it can be harder to see sometimes, but you've got the analog display anyway. So between the two of them, you can always see one pretty darn well. Of course, the lume on these is not crazy, but there's a light. So, I find myself, I don't even think about whether or not these have any lume. I just use the light, but they do have a little bit of lume on the hands. Okay, so guys, let me put this back on the little watch holder very quickly and just say these do happen to be two of my favorite G-Shock watches and two of my favorite Casio watches in general. I find this a very, very attractive design. I'm kind of glad that these are available out there, and that Casio has found so much traction with them and therefore produced them in a bunch of variations because I really like them, and it gives me the opportunity to have something that I find really, really cool. All right, so there you go, guys. That's a quick rundown on features and look and all of that stuff in relation to the metal Casio. I didn't get into the specs in this video, guys, because I mean, as soon as you Google any of these, the specs are immediately available. I think by putting it on the wrist, you're going to get a better idea of how it actually wears anyway. But these are a little on the large-ish side. I think they're like 45 millimeter or something along those lines. But again, because people are so familiar with them and because the G-Shock, the Casioak is so prolific, I didn't feel like I wanted to sort of beat a dead horse there. These are one of the smaller wearing of the G-Shocks that are available. So there you go, guys. I'll finish this video twice, okay? I do have links in the description box, especially, they're mostly knife-related links, but I have in my Amazon store a bunch of the watches that I enjoy, and so that's where you can find those. If you use those links, if you use that Amazon link or the affiliate links from DLT and Blade Ops, that helps the channel a whole lot. And of course, especially check out White Mountain Knives. Use my discount code SHARPSTUFF. I'll thank you for watching and for taking advantage of those offers, and I will talk to you next time.